all-new paint scheme for car number 5, Bill Johnson. And I know he'd like to take it to victory lane here tonight for the Billy Harris Racing Team. Jim Bartley in car number 25, the top incoming rookie in 1994 in this Winston Busch late model division, will pace the field out of turn number 4. The green flag is out, and the Winston Busch late models are underway in the Pipe Fitters Local 522 40-lap feature event. On the backstretch and into turns 3 and 4, it's Bill Johnson out front. Larry Metters brings his number 05 down to the inside of Jim Bartley. The battle for the number 2 spot and into turns 1 and 2. Bill Kimmel Jr. in car number 69 needs a high placing finish in tonight's event to keep himself in the top 10 in the regional point standings of the NASCAR Winston Racing Series. He'll pull up along the inside of Jim Bartley to battle for third, and they're into turns 1 and 2. Car number 53, Joe Williamson Jr., one of the Pipe Fitter sponsored entries now into the top 5. Gliding up along the inside of Jim Bartley, moving out of turn number 4. Todd Robinson does likewise, and Chuck Winters along with Keith Gardner bumper to bumper into turns 1 and 2. Brian Baum in car number 74 goes on a spin near the rear of the field, and a potential caution flag situation exists. Nope, Brian gets back into the event. Chuck Winters spins, though, going down into turns 3 and 4. Battle for the lead on the back straightaway, and it's Larry Metters up along the outside of Bill Johnson, moving down into turns 3 and 4. They're side by side for the lead. Larry Metters takes over the number 1 spot, and they're back into turns 1 and 2. Bill Kimmel Jr. shoots to the outside of Bill Johnson. He'll take away second on the back straightaway. Joe Williamson Jr. goes fourth, and then rounding out the top 5, it's the number 15 of Todd Robinson. Back into turns 1 and 2. Bill Kimmel Jr. is not wasting any time with Larry Metters. Immediately, he'll look to the outside and go for the number 1 spot. Down into turns 3 and 4, and they're nearly side by side for the lead. It's still Larry Metters out front with 33 laps remaining. The race leaders are over in turn number 2. Kimmel on the outside of Metters, and they're side by side down into turns 3 and 4. Chuck Winters has spun once again down in turns 3 and 4, and he turns the Golden Arches sponsored Chevy Camaro around and will attempt to get back into the lineup. Out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Brian Baum, the last car on the lead lap, and right now we got a yellow flag after Bill Kimmel Jr. took away the number 1 position. Calvin Crane in car number 44. His cars come to a rest in the first turn area at Louisville Motor Speedway. Larry Metters at second place, and then it's Joe Williamson Jr. in car number 53, another Pipe Fitter sponsored car running at third. Fourth to Bill Johnson, and then rounding out the top 5, Todd Robinson. Green flag is back out, and Bill Kimmel Jr. continues to lead. Larry Metters up along the outside with Joe Williamson Jr. running third. He's right now engaged in a battle for the number 3 spot with Bill Johnson. Back into turns 1 and 2, and Larry Metters simply will not give up that outside lane, and he continues to run side by side with the race leader, Bill Kimmel Jr., down into turns 3 and 4. Still side by side for the lead and into turns 1 and 2, and it's Larry Metters up on the outside, Bill Kimmel Jr. on the inside. Joe Williamson Jr. continues to run at third with Todd Robinson at fourth. Larry Metters, for the moment, takes the lead back away going into turns 1 and 2. It's Kimmel right back to the inside. Larry Metters with a half car length advantage, and he continues to build that momentum. The 2 cars touch there momentarily coming out of turn number 4, and Larry Metters takes over the number 1 position. Pulls completely around Kimmel now coming out of turn number 2. Down into turns 3 and 4 with Joe Williamson Jr. currently running third. Todd Robinson goes fourth. Joe Williamson Sr. rounding out the top 5 with then Bill Johnson on the outside of him. Jim Bartley's had a problem down in turn number 4, stalling his car in the 4th turn area, letting it roll down the banking some as the field comes back under caution. Yellow flag reappears with 25 laps remaining. Out of turn number 4, and they're back under green. Out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. Larry Metters on the inside of Bill Kimmel Jr. Todd Robinson still at fourth on the outside of Joe Williamson Jr. Right now, Kimmel and Metters get together. Joe Williamson Jr. also involved. Junior Blankenship goes on a long slide, then taps the outside retaining wall down in turns 3 and 4. Todd Robinson in car number 15 takes over the number 1 position, and car number 5, Bill Johnson, now runs at second, followed by Joe Williamson Jr. and the number 11 of Joe Williamson Sr. We're under caution. Back under green, and Bill Johnson leads them into turns 1 and 2. Johnson gets an excellent start on the outside of Todd Robinson, pulls out just a little bit ahead as they move back into turns 3 and 4. Robinson down on the inside of Johnson, and they're side by side out of turn number 4. Bill Johnson leads with 21 remaining. They're back into turns 1 and 2, and the field will see the cross flag signal indicating the halfway mark this time around. Out of turn number 4, Todd Robinson is very loose up in turn number 4, and Bill Johnson will take the lead back. Into turns 1 and 2, Robinson's car gets a little loose coming out of the 4th turn, and that's what's enabled Bill Johnson to take the lead back. Well, Joe Williamson Sr. now has command of 3rd place as they come down the front straightaway. Carl Wheeler in car number 34 pulls up around the outside of the number 53 of Joe Williamson Jr. to battle for 4th as they move down the backstretch. Into turns 3 and 4, here comes Todd Robinson to the outside of Bill Johnson. And they're side by side for the lead, just over the halfway mark. And down the back straightaway, Robinson on the attack, and he'll move to the outside of Bill Johnson. Johnson glides up the banking just a little bit. Robinson inherits the number 1 position. Back into turns 1 and 2, and Todd Robinson re-inherits the lead. Well, we've already seen about 4 lead changes among 4 different drivers in this one, and we still have 16 laps remaining. Carl Wheeler in car number 34 is making that car come alive on the outside, the number 34 machine. Simpsonville, Kentucky driver Carl Wheeler up to the number 2 spot now around the outside of Bill Johnson. Keith Gardner in car number 98, 3-time late model champion, now up to 4th. Back into turns 3 and 4. Joe Williamson Sr. rounds out the top 5 as they move out of turn number 4. And Carl Wheeler takes away the number 2 spot. Back into turns 1 and 2. Keith Gardner now on the outside of Bill Johnson. Lenny LeGrand in the number 06 now marching his way back towards the front. Todd Robinson of New Albany, Indiana, with about a 3-car length advantage right now over Carl Wheeler, who has driven his best race on this short track here at Louisville Motor Speedway to date. Keith Gardner now motors around the outside of Bill Johnson, still trying to take away the 3rd place spot. And Gardner comes up to 3rd. At the end of the back straightaway, Joe Williamson Sr. now to the outside of Bill Johnson as they come out of turn number 4. Lenny LeGrand at the number 6 spot now, car number 06. Then it's Dean Donahoe going 7th. Larry Metters up to 8th. Then running 9th, Bill Kimmel Jr. Out of turn number 4 with Robinson in command. 10 laps to go, and they're back into turns 1 and 2. Gardner hops to the outside of the number 34 of Carl Wheeler now to battle for 2nd as they move back into turns 3 and 4. Out of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway, it's still Todd Robinson by about 2.5 car lengths. Carl Wheeler in car number 34 is really coming on strong. Now Gardner takes a look to the inside of Wheeler to try to go for 2nd. Into turns 1 and 2 now, and the battle is at 2nd place. Lenny LeGrand now pulls around Bill Johnson for the number 5 position. And the number 05 of Larry Metters now trying to go for the 6th place spot now as they exit turn number 2. Back into turns 3 and 4, coming up on 6 laps to go. The race leaders are out at turn number 4. Todd Robinson back into turns 1 and 2. And Carl Wheeler in car number 34, the second place running car, is continuing to reel in Todd Robinson for the number 1 position as all the top cars are pretty much bunched together as they head back into turns 1 and 2. Watching Lenny LeGrand work the outside of Bill Johnson for the number 5 position. And Larry Metters in the number 05 is right there as well. Bill Kimball Jr. up along the inside of Dean Donahoe. 4 laps remaining as the race leaders move down the back straightaway. Keith Gardner now takes a shot to the inside of Carl Wheeler. He'll go for second, drops back a bit. Wheeler still in the number 2 spot. Todd Robinson continues to lead back into turns 1 and 2 with 3 laps remaining. Whoa, and Keith Gardner tangles with Carl Wheeler going into turns 1 and 2. Wheeler's car turns around. Gardner goes into second place. Back into turns 1 and 2. Now Joe Williamson Sr. runs at third. And then it's a side-by-side battle for fourth. Larry Metters up along the inside of the number 06 of Lenny LeGrand. The white flag is out, indicating 1 lap to go. Back into turns 1 and 2, Todd Robinson, the race leader, makes his way past Carl Wheeler. Let's find out if Keith Gardner can. Down into turns 3 and 4, coming to the checkered, it'll be Todd Robinson, Keith Gardner, followed by Larry Metters in fourth, the number 11 of Joe Williamson Sr. in the number 3 position, and then Lenny LeGrand rounds out the top 5. Well, I tell you what, that was a dandy. I think we've seen about 6 different lead changes in that one.